Good evening and welcome to the extraordinary meeting of Lithgow City Council on the 11th of March 2024. Acknowledgement of Country. Lithgow City Council acknowledges the Wiradjuri elders past and present of the Wiradjuri Nation, the original custodians of the land on which the Lithgow communities reside. The Council also extends our respects to our neighbouring nations. Declaration of webcasting. I inform all those in attendance at this meeting that the meeting is being webcast and that those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements concerning any person, councillor or employee, and refrain from discussing those matters subject to closed council proceedings as indicated in clause 14.1 of the Code of Meeting Practice. We have all councillors here tonight, so there's no apologies. Are there any declarations of interest this evening? No? There's no mayoral minute, no public forum, we don't have any speakers. So we'll go straight into item 7.1, responsible governance and civic leadership. Can I have somebody move this? Thank you.
I'll move an amendment. I'll move it that I want to change the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Ring.
That the meeting time remains at 7 p.m. It doesn't say anything. It's up to us to determine. It's not.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Ring.
Play nice, people.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Councillor Ring, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nathan. Look, there's nothing in this report to indicate why we should be changing the time. It's been that time forever. There's no supporting documentation saying what the alleged psychological damage is or what the risks are. There's not enough information to warrant me accepting a change at this point in time. My understanding is 7 p.m. was always chosen to allow people to get here from their work duties. Reducing it to 6 p.m. will make it difficult for some councillors to get here and could actually create work health safety issues if they've got to rush to get here from any distance. So I believe remaining it at 7 p.m. is fine.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Ms. Statham. When I was first elected to council 8 years ago, my youngest daughter was only 13. And the time between 4:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. for me each afternoon was about catching up, having tea, making plans for the following day. Both my daughters are now in their 20s, living independent lives. My place of employment supports flexible working arrangements. The leadership team are very supportive. So for me, 6:30 or 7 wouldn't be an issue. However, this is our meeting and the staff are our guests. Changing the meeting time sends a message to all those working mums and dads that we are not interested in diversifying the council. We want to exclude. We want to limit who can nominate for a future council. It wasn't that long ago that a former councillor was working different shifts and wasn't able to get to a 7 p.m. meeting on time. Unfortunately, that particular council was 10 or 15 minutes late and was unable to participate in part of the meeting. She was very disappointed. I too feel as though that 7 p.m. will allow those who work from 9 to 5 or later an opportunity to get here in time for a council meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. Anybody else wishing? Councillor Bryce?
Yeah. We have a duty of care to the employees, the people who turn up to these meetings as on the council. We have a fatigue management plan that says you must have a 10-hour break between shifts. If we've been finishing at 11 o'clock at night, that means these people can't start work till 9, don't finish till 5:30. That is not taking care of our workers. That is not taking care the duty of care to our employees. It is, we expect everyone to abide by these policies except us when we have the responsibility to our staff. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Bryce. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Yes.
Councillor O'Connor?
Thank you, Mayor. I think it should go to 6 o'clock and there should be a break at 7:30. I've been sitting here nights for 3 and 4 hours. I can hardly walk when I get up. It's just too long. So there should be a break, have a sandwich, and then get back into it if we need to. I'm very happy at 6 o'clock. And I think it's for the older people that comes to the listening to the meetings, 11 o'clock is too late for them going home also. Thanks.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Marnie, you...
That's better. Yeah, look, I struggled to get here at 6 o'clock today. I finish at 4, I'm an hour away. That's with traffic in my favour. That gives me half an hour to make myself beautiful. It's not practical. I need something to eat before a meeting. I think if it was put together and there was food at 7:30 or something like that. But for me to come, and I think at 7 o'clock also, all staff can have a break before the meeting. Because I certainly need one, and I need something to eat before 7 o'clock because I work physically, and yeah, I'd support the motion as it stands that we leave it at 7 o'clock.
Thank you, Councillor McGee. Anybody else wishing to speak?
Mayor Statham, on this is the motion now, isn't it? Is that the motion?
Said it was an amendment. All
So
right.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that we go to 6 o'clock. And the reason being is basically exactly the same as what Councillor Bryce has brought up in relation to HNS or WHS and Councillor O'Connor. It's just far too late. We're getting home at 11 o'clock at night. These meetings can be over and done with. It's half of the meeting if we all got together and got rid of half of the meeting as a whole, which we can do, but there are certain people in the council that don't want to do that. So we have to go through the entire meeting. Now, by doing that, we're not finishing and getting out of here until 10, 11 o'clock. And yeah, it's their democratic right to do that, no dramas. But for the staff who are here all day, have to stay here all day and then drive home at 11 o'clock at night, plus for the audience who decide to come here and go home at 11 o'clock at night after listening to our meeting for 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours. So it's just ridiculous. If we start at 6, they're home easily by 9:30, 10 o'clock at the most. So that's why I want to make the amount. That's my amendment.
I need a seconder there, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bryce.
Does Councillor Goodwin want to speak to his motion?
Yeah. Councillor Goodwin, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, I just didn't. Yes,
Yes, all right. Councillor Bryce? All right. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Yep.
Councillor Marnie, thank you.
I'll speak briefly. There's two sides to employees here. Both parties are getting paid. We are, and the staff are. For us, yes, I'm afraid we are receiving money each month. I have to go through the specific details if shaking heads seem to not understand that.
No, we do understand.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Councillor Bryce. My break is at 12 o'clock. If I leave work at 5 o'clock, I don't have a break. I come straight to here. I understand what Councillor McGee's speaking to. There's two sides to the equation. There are people that are travelling to come to this, let's call it a workplace, because it operates in the same way. The other thing is the local government award is very explicit, and I'm sure the General Manager is fully aware that he can't ask staff to come back in at 9 o'clock. I hope that that hasn't been happening because that is very explicit about breaks between work times. So if an officer's working till 11 o'clock, they shouldn't be commencing work at 9 o'clock the next morning. I'm hoping that's not happening, but anyway, I'll leave that operational element. Thank you, Councillor Bryce. I don't need any coaching. The cursory introduction of psychosocial impacts I find interesting. Most of them relate to behavioural and job control. They relate little to fatigue elements. They're important elements in a workplace, but I find just a cursory reference to that not helpful. I'm not sure where the risk management process has played out. I see nothing in the report to explain how that risk could be managed. So I see it as a limiting element as well. We've got an election coming up. Some of us who are candidates will commute out of the area to work. And I think we need to, as part of any of our accessibility, inclusivity policies, don't create barriers to stopping people participating. I don't have a problem with people who work 9 to 5, who might work in Bathurst and want to run for council. They bring a experience that is part of it, and similarly people who commute to the east. The management of staff fatigue is for the general manager in his operational management role to manage. It's not for us as councillors to manage. I know what I put my hand up for when I ran for council. Nothing's changed for me. Whether we could shorten the meetings, quite possibly. But that's an issue for us as a council, an elected council, to deal with. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Leslie?
I have a question for the General Manager, which is, for how long has Lithgow City Council commenced its ordinary council meetings at 7 o'clock?
I mean, I'd have to take that on notice and look back at the historical records and provide that by way of memo to the councillors.
I find that answer odd. It seems to me that on a motion such as this, that question should surely have been anticipated. It's not. It could hardly be considered to be unusual or difficult, and so I find that difficult. I do know, however, that at the very minimum it's been 7 o'clock since at least the first council meeting that you were elected at, Mayor Statham, in 2012. So that's at least 12 years, and I suspect it's many years before. I didn't check it back because I assumed it would be in the management comment. We've had some management comments go for pages, but this one is about 100 words. The other one that we're getting is the comments that these meetings go to 11 o'clock. Well, in the 8 years that this council's now been meeting, in the last 8 years since I've been here, that's approximately 80, 90 meetings, and the number of times it's gone after 10 o'clock would be less than 20. It's 20% at the most. It's not all the time. It's not something that we need to be concerned about, and they go for that length because they're important items to discuss. They're matters that need to be dealt with, fully. If the council administration or the mayor, believes that this time is too difficult, then it's well within the rights to put up a motion suggesting that we meet twice a month. That's well within the way it could work. That's never come up, but suddenly we've had this motion coming up. I believe it should be the amendment should be defeated and the motion should be carried, and matters like this really should be determined by consensus, not by a vote. And when the new council is elected in September, then genuine questions can be asked of all the councillors as to how they feel and work with it and work with them then. But we're not all going to be here in September, and yet we're making decisions for them on this item and indeed on the next. So I think we need to just be mindful of the history we've had and the length of time this process has been in place, and let it be.
Thank you, Councillor Leslie. Right of reply, Councillor Goodwin.
To speak to it,
Oh,
please.
sorry, beg your pardon, Councillor Ring, I didn't.
I agree with Councillor McGee, Councillor Mahoney. For anyone who's got to travel and get here, it puts too much pressure on them. One accident up on the mountains, and it's happened previously, where I think both Councillor McGee and Councillor Leslie have had to catch trains or make alternative arrangements to get here. It's a problem. That's the reality. Staff, that's operational. I hear that all the time about operational. That's up to the General Manager to manage. I used to have to do regular meetings at night when I was in national parks. I'd start at 12 one day and I'd come in late the next. Not a drama. That's up to the General Manager to manage. As for the visitors coming here, it's up to them to go home. When they're tired, they go home. I know people have gone home early because they've had enough of the way we conduct ourselves. They also don't have to come. They can watch it, and they can watch it over 3 or 4 days. But what Councillor Leslie said about having 2 council meetings a month, Bathurst have just introduced that under their new mayor. One is a policy one, and one is more for planning. On one of the meetings, the public forum is very much restricted to what is on the item. The second meeting, which is a more broader general information one, is where the members of the community can come and talk or ask questions about any item. I think it's a good model. That's something we should be looking at. Because starting at 6 o'clock, how do you know you're not going to end up with a 5-hour meeting and finish at 11? Seriously, you don't. If the time of the meeting is too long, then we need to look at how we can break the meetings up over the month. We do get paid. Albert, it's not a lot of money, but we do get paid. We take the coin, we do the work. And if we do need to have shorter meetings, and as for Councillor Goodwin's comment about, oh, we all agreed, look, I'm sorry, but a lot of reports that used to come to the last council, they've been taken out. They don't come here anymore. Water reports don't come here. When it comes to the committee reports, unless there's a burning issue there, they could all be voted at the beginning of the meeting. That effectively is going to save 10 or 15 minutes, maybe half an hour. That could be done. But that can be done procedurally. We don't need a motion for it. I think we leave it at 7 o'clock and give those staff, or just give our colleagues the time to get here and appropriate. And I do agree with Councillor O'Connor. It would be nice to have a bite to eat halfway through the meeting and the opportunity to get up and stretch your legs. I don't see any problem with that or why we can't do it.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Right of reply. Oh, sorry, Councillor McGee.
Yes, I'd like to speak to the amendment. And, yeah, well, I'm convinced, Councillor Leslie's dialogue really convinced me that this is the way to go. It's quite obvious, that if we can't sit on our hands for the next 6 months waiting for the next incoming council to come. We are no less council than they are. So I fully support this amendment.
Thanks to Councillor McGee. Right of reply, Councillor Goodwin. Thank you.
May I state them only that, I'm here in council now. I'm making decisions now, and I'm making decisions up until the next council. Decisions are my decisions, and I'll be making them not with the next council in mind, but while I'm on council and making the right decision for the right time. So that's where I stand.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour of the amendment, thank you. Against the amendment? So I'll call a division. Pardon? Yes. All those for the amendment? Councillor Bryce, Councillor Goodwin, Councillor O'Connor, Councillor McGee. Against the amendment? I'm voting against the amendment. For the amendment, Councillor Coleman, Councillor Ring, Councillor Leslie and Councillor Marnie. The amendment was lost. Sorry, the amendment was carried. The amendment now becomes a motion. I'll put the motion, thank you. All those in favour of the motion? Against? Carried, thank you.
Call the division, please.
Certainly, Councillor Ring. Call a division, thank you. Councillor Bryce, Councillor Goodwin, Councillor O'Connor, Councillor McGee, Councillor Statham for the motion, and councillors against the motion, Councillor Coleman, Councillor Ring, Councillor Marnie and Councillor Leslie. Thank you. Seven point 1.2, the General Manager recruitment process. Have somebody move this, thank you.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Councillor Bryce. Would you like to speak to that?
In relation to item 2, you require those.
Pardon?
In relation to item 2, they need to go through their nominal.
Councillor Bryce. Thank you, Councillor McGee. Councillor Bryce.
I'm a bit confused.
The General Manager will provide clarification regarding that. Thank you.
I'm just drawing the council's attention that in relation to item 2, there's a matter still to be determined or nominated by the council.
So the recommendation becomes the motion. Is that what I'm doing? No? Yeah. And that we appoint MacArthur as a specialist advisor, determine the other councillor by vote, and delegate the mayor, supported by the Human Resources Manager, to carry out the work.
Thank you, Councillor Bryce. Councillor McGee.
Yes, I just support it as it stands, and yeah, good to go.
I was a little bit confused with that. So let's-
Move an
Councillors, we
amendment.
need some information. We need somebody from the floor
Move an
to
amendment.
nominate someone, please.
I'd like to move an amendment.
Councillor Ring, your amendment.
Is that item 2 is that Councillor Eric Mahoney is appointed as the third panel member.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Ring and Councillor Coleman. Councillor Ring.
As the last meeting I said, when I put up the resolution for moving this forward, I made it fairly clear. I tried to be very diplomatic about it. I think having someone who is not perceived as being aligned with a particular group in here, and it doesn't matter if you believe it's true or not. The public perception is that there's a team of 5, a gang of 5, a cartel. Doesn't matter.
Excuse me.
Oh,
Point of order, Councillor Ring.
Excuse me, I have not made a claim. I said what the public is saying, what is the public perception.
Could you please stop talking and certainly apologise before you speak, calling this group over here a cartel. There are 3 in a
sorry.
group along where you are, so please
No.
don't speak while I'm speaking. Thank you. Now
No.
apologise.
No, I will
That is
not
very
apologise.
defamatory.
No, I
All right, we
said,
have it on tape. Keep going.
that's
Thank you,
good,
Councillor.
that's good. The threats don't bother me, councillor, because I did not make the claim. I'm telling you what the public perception is and what is out and being discussed and
Point
what's
of
in
order.
writing.
Councillor McGee, what is your point of order?
I would like Councillor Ring to supply some members of the public who allege these allegations then.
It's on Facebook. It's there. No. Oh, hearsay. Well, we do a lot of stuff on hearsay in this
Oh, you've
council.
got good ears, haven't you, Councillor?
Yeah, I do. Well, you two talk a lot up there, councillor.
Point of order.
I'm giving you one warning, Councillor Ring. If you get out of place again, you'll be asked to leave the chambers. I'm not giving you 2 warnings.
As long as it complies with the code of conduct requirements, I'll comply.
And that's what you don't know, because calling the cartel over here,
I didn't call them that.
you should be ashamed of
I
yourself.
did not call them that.
You did,
I did not. I
We'll
said
go
that is the
through it.
public perception. I did not call them
but
that.
you don't need to say that either.
Well, why
There's
not?
no need to say that. We don't need to know your vocabulary brilliance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, if I've offended them, then I withdraw the comments.
Thank you.
How's that?
Very good.
Good.
A point of order too, when Councillor Reid addresses yourself, he shouldn't address you as councillor, he should address you as the mayor, if that's relevant.
That's correct, Councillor O'Connor.
Well, if that's
Continue.
correct, then I apologise, Mayor Statham. I think to get this moving forward, there is a perception out there of a council that doesn't work cohesively. What I put up was to try and provide a path that we could at least move on this, which is an important item, cohesively. That's why I'm moving Eric Mahoney, Councillor Mahoney.
Councillor Coleman.
I support the amendment. I support Councillor Marnie. Councillor Marnie is more than well equipped to provide support to the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor. He has extraordinary local government knowledge and extraordinary local government experience. He has the skill set and the qualifications. Can I continue? To ensure that the process is followed through properly and correctly.
Anybody else wishing to speak? Councillor McGee?
Yes, I don't support the amendment. I think that we were going through the process and, to railroad us with threats and unsubstantiated comments from Facebook to bully people into voting for another councillor of their selection, well, that is far from transparent in anyone's books. I think that we go back to we knock this, or I will not support this amendment as it stands, and I think we go back to selecting a councillor. There was talk of there being 2 councillors. I think we stick to 1 councillor. I think we select a councillor to support the Mayor and Deputy Mayor in this selection process, as described, and we vote for 1 councillor.
Thank you, Councillor McGee. Councillor Bryce?
There's talk about caucusing, and I feel that we're being caucused into voting for a particular person because of some point of view.
Point of order. Caucusing occurs outside of a council meeting. There is no opportunity for caucusing within a meeting. I'll just as a point of clarification.
We had this caucus.
Be ruled on.
Councillor Bryce is right. We've often been told we're caucusing. Go ahead, Councillor Bryce.
I just feel that...
Point of order, Councillor Statham. You are required to make a ruling on the point of order. That's
I withdraw that.
Councillor Bryce to
So
continue.
I'll withdraw the word caucusing, but we're being forced to vote for someone, pushed it on us because of a point of view. That's not how fair elections work, okay?
Anyone else wishing to speak?
I might for the...
You just spoke, Councillor.
No, I didn't. I put a point of order. For the sake of any psychosocial damage, I might withdraw myself from it.
I think that's a good idea, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Leslie?
Yes, could I ask why you think it's a good idea?
Well, I guess it's conflict of interest if somebody's in the room that's been already nominated. Or is it not? You know the rules better than me, Councillor.
Who's been nominated?
I thought Councillor Coleman nominated Councillor Marnie.
No, I did not. I second the nomination.
Yes.
Mayor Statham. It was Councillor Ring.
Yes, it was Councillor Ring. And then you spoke while Councillor Marnie was here. So I won't say that he should leave. I think it's up to you, Councillor Marnie, but I don't think he should have to leave on that account. Thank you.
No, he's withdrawing his he doesn't want to accept the nomination.
So you're not wishing to be selected, Councillor Marnie?
Well, it seems to be causing significant conflict, and I agree with Councillor Ring. We need this matter to go through smoothly. If my nomination is resulting in such a triggered response, well, no, I'll step away from it.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Coleman.
We have a problem, Mayor Statham. When the recommendation was moved, it wasn't moved with the councillor that was going to be nominated. It was moved as per on the paper, but it also very clearly states that we would determine who was to be on the panel. That's why the amendment went up. Now that Councillor Marnie has withdrawn his nomination, we still need a councillor to be nominated.
Point of order, we don't need to be treated like we're kids.
Councillor Bryce, Councillor Coleman is correct. We do need to.
I'm not speaking to you, Councillor Bryce, like a child at all. I'm trying to break it down very clearly. Mayor, we need someone to be nominated within the recommendation because it wasn't done so. So I'll leave it up to you, because you are the chair, to follow the procedure.
And, excuse me, may I speak as the seconder for the original motion, because obviously the amendment is dropped.
That's correct.
No, we haven't voted on the amendment. It hasn't been dropped. There's been no vote.
Your nominee has pulled out.
We don't just automatically go back. I'm going to amend it, if I can, and just leave it as the mayor and deputy mayor. Leave it as that.
So you've already amended to start off with.
Just keep it as you and the deputy mayor. Simple.
That is
It's
not his
obviously
amendment.
contentious. It's obviously contentious to have anyone else on there, so we'll leave it. At the end of the day, we'll all make the final decision. All right? That's fine. I'm happy to go down that path.
Yeah, no worries. Happy to do that. But you need a seconder for that.
All right. So we'll delete item 2. And, make item 2 is just appoint the mayor and deputy mayor.
Councillor Bryce? Yep. Councillor Ring?
Oh, look, yeah, look, it's obviously a contentious issue, so we'll leave it as it is. What I would like to see is when the final position description is done, I'd like to see that as a matter of courtesy. I think all councillors would. I don't think that's an unreasonable request. Before it actually goes out to, recruitment, just a final review. If anyone's got any questions, we can throw it up. I'm happy to take the word, Mayor. We don't need a resolution on that. I do have a question, because I'm not 100% comfortable with MacArthur. I've spent a lot of time looking at the report that was done by the staff. I accept their recommendation. But I would like for you to ask Mr McGrath if he could explain how the background checks are done, what is permissible and what is not permissible to be found out.
Mr McGrath, thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. The checks are done in accordance with the Local Government Act and the guidelines that are issued by the OLG on recruitment of general managers. So the recruitment agencies need to abide by those rules and to make sure that we're not breaching them either unknowingly or knowingly. When background checks are done, when reference checks are done. So we specify, or we will specify exactly which background checks will be required. And the references are only allowed where the applicant or the candidate agree. So as in all local government recruitment, we can't go looking for information where there isn't a prior approval from the candidate.
If I may, just one.
One's working.
Oh, yours is working.
Oh, yeah, we'll move up here.
I'll move up here. There you go. That's okay. On a previous general manager, after the recruitment went through, that's all good. Thank you. I got hit by a number of questions, and so did other councillors, about newspaper reports, and I just want clarity on, are those sort of things excluded from? I'm not talking here, I'm talking about stuff that's reported in media, in legitimate media, not Facebook. Are those things excluded from the checks on applicants?
I'd have to have information from the General Manager, Councillor Ring. Or Mr. McGrath? Mr. McGrath, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The recruitment agency check what we ask them to check. So we would have to make sure that if we were asking them to check other sources of information, that we were complying with the Act in every situation. So we wouldn't be able to randomly do checks and insert that information into the recruitment process.
I appreciate it. I just wanted clarity on that and the process, because I know the previous times we've actually had to sign agreements once we get to that final stage that we will not actually go and actively seek information, which I haven't done in the past. But when it's brought to your attention, I mean, previous general manager, I spoke to him about it, there was nothing in it, but it's nice to have the heads up. That's all. Thank you.
Councillor Bryce? You was the seconder? Thank you. Right of reply, Councillor.
Can I speak to the item? I haven't yet spoken to the item. Thank you. Just as a summary, we have a resolution of Lithgow City Council passed at the extraordinary meeting on the 20th of February, which extraordinary meeting of the 21st. I have the minutes here in front of me, which was resolved that the council, one, contact LGNSW, the Local Government Association, to work with councillors to prepare the position description for the General Manager. 2, activate the recruitment process immediately. 3, establish a panel comprising of the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and 1 other councillor. And 4, acknowledge that the final decision may be made by the new council. Now that was, and everyone voted for it except me, and asked my name to be recorded against it. But it is the decision of the council. We had tonight, we have a motion that was moved by Councillor Bryce that did not include the name of the other councillor. This, of course, made it extremely difficult to actually move this motion forward. But Councillor Ring, being much more experienced, decided to make this to work a bit better, and recommended that point 3 include Councillor Marnie. Now, Councillor McGee.
Point of order, Mayor Statham.
What is your point of order, Councillor McGee?
This is a history lesson on what we've just done. This is not speaking to the amendment.
I do agree with that. I'm going to dismiss. I'm going to uphold the point of order. Thank you.
That's why we end up at 11 o'clock.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Marnie. People wonder why we end up at 11 o'clock. Well, right, okay. So.
Councillor Leslie, please, we're here. You heard what the amendment was from Councillor Ring, which was seconded by Councillor Bryce. So stay on topic, thank you.
Well, for a start, it was seconded by Councillor Coleman, but which, of course, is typical of this council. We get these things wrong all the time.
It was Councillor Bryce.
Oh, it was Councillor Bryce.
Yes,
my apologies.
It was,
okay. I'm so used to getting it wrong. Right. Well, we still don't have a third councillor. Now, Councillor Marnie, having heard, and I'm sure this is part of the debate, having heard from Councillor McGee that Councillor McGee wishes to oppose that amendment, therefore oppose the appointment of Councillor Marnie as the third delegate. Councillor Marnie,
Point of order, Mayor Statham. This is exactly the same as the last point of order. This is history. This has nothing to do with the current amendment.
The history I'm talking about is about 15 minutes ago when Councillor McGee spoke to the motion. That's how far back I've got to go in history for Councillor McGee to speak against the
Councillor
appointment
Leslie.
of Councillor Marnie to this position.
Councillor Leslie, you obviously lost sight of what the amendment was, to have no other person. So, Councillor McGee, I will uphold that point of order. So you're allowed to continue, Councillor Leslie, but you have to continue to debate the amendment, not anything else that you choose to do.
Right, to debate the amendment, not the motion. Your words, to debate the amendment.
We're talking about an amendment now that Councillor Ring has proposed, not to have any other person, just the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor. Is that correct, Councillor Ring? Yeah. Right, so that's what we're debating at the present moment, nothing else whatsoever. Councillor Marnie has declined the opportunity, and Councillor Ring then spoke and said that he would...
Yes. Well, I'm speaking against the amendment as well. My view is that this body of councillors needs to have a panel of 3. We need to have the Mayor, we need to have the Deputy Mayor, and we need to have a third person. If Councillor Marnie doesn't wish to be that third person, I respect that, especially since the motion, the earlier motion, indicated that there were councillors who would not want him to be there. Now, Councillor Marnie is an honourable man. He does not want to politicise this particular motion. He wants to just make sure that the process we have is one that will end up with a very good general manager. At the moment, we have a body which is now going to be 2 people, and the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. I don't believe that and this is a personal view, I don't believe that a panel consisting of the Mayor and Deputy Mayor only will provide us with a short list of applicants for the position that this council will be able to choose a suitable candidate from. I think that the quality of the people on the panel is such that the quality of the candidates will be poor.
Excuse me. Now, that's beyond the pale, I'm sorry. You've got no more chances, and then you're asked to leave the chambers. That is an insult. Go back, Councillor Leslie, for decades, this council has been 2 people on this committee. 2 people. We were going to change it. It's turned into an insult and a circus because of people that are saying the wrong things and insulting people. That is a disgrace, what you just said. And I'm sure that Councillor Goodwin would agree with me. Poor.
With respect...
Councillor Ring, right of reply, thank you.
I wish to speak, please.
Councillor Coleman.
I'm voting against the amendment. I'm voting against the amendment because I supported the original recommendation, which was passed on the 20th of February at the last council meeting that we had in regards to this topic, that I supported, and that was that the Mayor, the Deputy Mayor and a third delegate should be on the panel, because I believe that is the pathway forward to select the best person for the job.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. Right of reply, if nobody... Councillor Marnie.
Thank you. Just a couple of brief things. I agree. We as a council have made recommendations. Those recommendations stand, and they provide advice and direction to the staff in preparing this report, which says that one of the recommendations was that we'd establish a panel of the Mayor, the Deputy Mayor and one other councillor. It also said that the Office of Local Government would be involved with the councillors in developing the position description. They're decisions we made as a council. Those decisions stand. We haven't rescinded them. They still stand. The recommendations of the panel will eventually come back to council for endorsement. Now, the reason I've declined is I don't wish to bring forward an atmosphere of conflict before we even start the process. The importance of getting the General Manager right is very critical to me, regardless of whether I'm re-elected, and I don't carry any perceptions that I am going to be re-elected. If it's the last action I'm involved in, I want to make sure I get it right. So the Office of Local Government is clear in its guidelines. It's the peak advisory body for local governments in New South Wales how to do good practice. They suggest that a panel of 3 is good practice. That's all I've supported all the way along. I think Councillor Ring, despite the whole debate going south fairly quickly, was trying, I think, genuinely to create an environment that we can have confidence in our community that we're making a good decision on their behalf. I'm afraid I won't support the amendment. I came into this ready to support a constructive pathway forward, but I can't see it.
The General Manager would just like to speak. Thank you.
I've just consulted the Code of Meeting Practice, and I've looked at clause 17.3, 17.4 and 17.5. We deal with rescinding a motion of the council, and that requires that the rescission motion be lodged in accordance with another clause, 310, in the code, and the rescission motion needs to be lodged ahead of the extraordinary meeting. So it would be unlawful to deal with the rescission motion this evening, so that leaves that the council needs to determine a way, if they want to deal with this tonight, to determine the third person to the panel. So the rescission motion isn't lawful in accordance with the Code of Meeting Practice.
If I may, Mayor Stephen, I'd like to propose at the moment we move into open council and we just have an open discussion about whether or not it is potential to have a third person on that we can agree with, that will see this as being a fair and impartial process moving forward. Otherwise, as the General Manager says, that means a rescission motion, and that's just going to delay the process.
Councillor McGee?
Not at all. I think if the amendment will be defeated, we go back to the original motion, which I seconded, and as part of that, step 2 is that we determine the Mayor, the Deputy Mayor and the third councillor as part of debating that. So because the amendments were moved straight away, so there was no opportunity to actually move through it. So we nominate a councillor and we put a third councillor on there. It should be pretty straightforward.
Mayor,
to that end, I will nominate.
Excuse
Calder.
me, Councillor Ring.
Sorry, I thought Councillor
No, you
McGee had
hadn't,
finished, sorry.
please. So just please
I
wait while somebody's
apologise.
speaking.
And to that
Continue,
end, I
Councillor
will
McGee.
nominate Col O'Connor for the
Can I
role.
have a seconder, please? Councillor Bryce. Councillor McGee.
I think we've got to put the amendment first and put that down, don't we?
The amendment is no longer because we were to have a rescission motion, which I did think of, and as soon as the General Manager mentioned that, we do have to have a rescission motion because this motion has not been rescinded, so we're to go ahead with it. No, go ahead, Councillor McGee. We're talking about the motion now or the recommendation. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to nominate.
Just a minute, please. The General Manager has another comment.
Yeah.
I'm a bit lost, so we need to clarify. Is the original mover for the original motion, are you accepting an amendment which Councillor McGee put to you? That's what I'm trying to clarify. Or are you moving away from the original motion which you supported, and are you, Councillors McGee and Bryce, supporting an amendment?
What's it about moving to open council and just have a discussion?
Well, what I'm hearing is we've moved towards 2 nominations of, we may need to correct this and bring it in line in terms of what's been moved, but we've got there's a mood of Councillor Marnie being nominated, and I just heard Councillor O'Connor. The council needs to take a vote on those or call if there's anybody else interested.
Can I just say that if this is the original recommendation, and my understanding is that Councillor McGee is recommending Councillor O'Connor, my understanding is that that amendment has been withdrawn. Is that correct, Mayor? If that's the case, then I'd like to put an amendment to the recommendation and I'd like to nominate Councillor Ring as the third person.
Thank you, Councillor.
Excuse me, can I Yeah, there's already a nomination, but can we open this, move it to open it up to the floor, whoever needs to be nominated, and take a vote on the positions rather than keep changing amendments?
Are you happy with that, Councillor McGee, if we put it to the vote? So there are two nominations, so just let me get this correct. There are two nominations. If this is the legal way we can go about this without doing anything wrong, I'll just get some information from the General Manager and Mr McGrath before we do this. Thank you. I'm chairing the meeting, excuse me. Yes, this is rather an extraordinary situation and we want to get it right.
So what we have at the moment, we have the original motion, and then we have an amendment on this side. However, the amendment wasn't supported by the nomination.
Hasn't been
Councillor Ring-
seconded,
let
my
Councillor-
nomination, my amendment.
Let me just finish. So Councillor Ring moved an amendment, Councillor Coleman seconded that Councillor Marnie be nominated, but in the debate, Councillor Marnie stepped away and declined that nomination. We can go forward and deal with that amendment, then we would return to the original motion. The council would still have to find its way to either probably by an amendment to the original motion. A subsequent amendment would need to be lodged and council would need to be determine who it's nominating for that third position. You can't rescind the decision, there needs to be a third position. That's the decision of the council. We could have a short recess, would be another option, Mayor, and we could convene subsequent to that session, or alternatively, and council needs to work as a group of 9 to find their way to who they want to vote for.
I move we have a 5-minute recess. Grab a cuppa.
Can I have a seconder, please? All those in favour say aye. Thank you. 5 minutes. Thank you. councillors. Just to clarify, Councillor McGee, are you withdrawing the original motion?
No, I'd like to put an amendment to the original motion,
Your amendment, Councillor McGee?
that we nominate as the councillor on the panel, Col O'Connor, as the third representative from council.
Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Bryce.
I have an amendment.
I'm just going to deal with this amendment first, thank you.
Moving the original recommendation with an amendment. Well, then I'll foreshadow a motion.
Certainly.
I recommend that Steve Ring be on the panel.
Councillor Ring, yes. Do you have a seconder, Councillor Coleman? Right. Councillor McGee.
Yes, I think it eliminates all of the rigmarole with trying to eliminate the third proposition, or bringing on a fourth, which was also proposed. I think if we just keep it simple, I think Col O'Connor's a fantastic judge of character, very well known in the area, and certainly very keen to see someone selected of a certain ilk, and yeah, I believe it'd be very appropriate.
Thank you, Councillor McGee. Councillor Bryce.
Councillor Connor has a huge amount of experience in hiring people, and I think that'll be invaluable in this panel.
Thank you, Councillor Bryce. Anybody else wishing to speak?
Yes, I want to speak for myself if I can,
Thank you, Councillor O'Connor.
to say that I'm the perfect man to put on with councils for nearly 40 years here. I have a good idea what's going to be good and bad in a general manager. And I want to see the best to come to Lithgow. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Connor. Anybody else wishing to speak? Councillor McGee, right of reply.
No, I put the motion.
I'll put the motion, the amendment. All those in favour say aye. Against?
Call the division.
Call the division, thank you. Councillor Bryce, Goodwin, O'Connor, McGee and Statham. Against? Councillor Coleman, Ring. Councillor Leslie, are you not voting at all?
Not voting again.
Oh, I didn't see your hand at all. Councillor Leslie and Councillor Marnie. The motion now becomes the amendment now becomes the motion. Councillor McGee.
If the motion to be put.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. The division, thank you. Councillor McGee, Councillor O'Connor, Councillor Goodwin, Councillor Bryce, Councillor Statham. Against, that's 4, of course. Against is Councillor Coleman and Councillor Ring and Councillor Leslie and Councillor Marnie. The amendment became the motion. The motion was successful. Thank you.
It's closed now, unless there's business of great
Is there any business of great urgency, please? No? Oh,
Just
Councillor
one,
Goodwin.
Ms. Statham, I'm getting a lot of reports in relation to the road, potholes along the Wang-Portland Road. There's one major one that people, it's a safety issue where people are popping out on the incorrect side of the road all the time. There are a couple of others.
Point of order. This could surely be just raised with the administration in the normal manner.
This is an actual safety issue. And
No, I'm accepting this point of order because I myself was in Palmasoki today and the Dark Corner Road is urgent, as is the Portland-Wallerawang Road.
I'm glad you don't think safety is not an urgent matter. Thank you.
Very, very urgent
I beg your
matter.
pardon?
This morning.
I beg your pardon? Would you say that again?
Yeah.
Would you say that again?
You don't think safety is an urgent matter?
Well, did you raise it this morning with the staff?
And how long have you known about this safety matter before you raised it here?
Excuse me, do you...
Seriously, how long have you known about this
Councillor
safety matter
Leslie?
before you raised it here?
Councillor Leslie, you are beyond reproach for a senior councillor. Please refrain. The meeting is closed. I accept the Councillor Marnie.
Point of order, Mayor. Can we have some decorum? Can we have some apologies across the chamber?
Both of
It's
them
not
should be
fair
ashamed of
to call
themselves.
gentlemen Come on, pull them into gear.
Can we
This is
stop
a
yelling
ma-
at each other?
We'll just deal with it, we'll deal with it tomorrow.
That does no.
This will be dealt with tomorrow. Anything to correct the road at Dark Corner and the Portland Wallerawang Road and the Portland Meadowflat Road. We're sick of people commenting on Facebook. There will be a media release go out within the next 2 days commenting on all the comments. They don't know what they're talking about. So the meeting is closed at 7:05.